Thought Bubble Audio.
I'm just a girl who pods.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Can't be held responsible for the dumb things I say on the mic.
Ooh, she's a podcaster.
She doesn't know when to shut the up, and she keeps singing stuff, and she doesn't stop.
They say pods make you crazy,
They say Frank makes you crazy.
but you can't call her crazy.
You're just calling her a podcaster.
Blam!
That was not going to make it on the episode.
It might.
Look, up in the sky.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
Name the dog Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in paints?
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks. This is the show where two geeks geek out with beer. I'm Frank, and joining me for her second time is my lovely wife, Marissa.
They had me back. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, you were allowed to come back. It's pretty great.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
I'm happy to have you here. We did something fun last night.
We did do something fun,
Yeah.
and that has to do with why I'm here today.
It does, yeah. We're gonna get to our topic in a second. But last night we went to Tim's wedding.
Yay!
Tim got married. We're so happy for him. For both of them, it was a beautiful wedding.
She showed up.
She showed up, which was
So-
a miracle in itself. You know, good job, buddy.
Yes,
yeah.
nailed it.
Yep.
It was a lovely wedding. We're so excited for both of them, and now he's going to enjoy some forced time off from the podcast.
That's
so
right.
he can go enjoy his new wife.
For a man who works too hard, he needed some time off. So glad that he is taking that time off. But Marissa, in the meantime, what are you drinking tonight?
I got a little bit of I got an Omission Lager right here, so pretty excited.
Yeah.
It's very good for a gluten-free beer. I'm very grateful we live in the golden age of gluten-free stuff, so it's a great time for pasta-based vegetable substitutes and vegetable-based pasta substitutes.
Sure.
And gluten-free pizza crust and gluten-free beer. So shout out to Omission. Thank you for making beer that I can drink.
Yay! Yeah, it's really good. I really like it. I have had one or two of your 6-pack just because they're good, like just because they're delicious.
It's rude. Save them for me, please.
Well, I'll buy you more. I'll buy you more. But yeah, so and I'm drinking a Stockyard Oatmeal Stout, which is a really creamy kind of stout in the Irish tradition. It says here, and yeah, it's got some chocolate, some roasted oats, some all the flavors of all those things, and some coffee. And I really like it very, very much. So way to go, Trader Joe's on that one. Actually,
Yeah.
I'm quite impressed.
You can house a stout that I'm always impressed with your ability to have like multiple stouts.
Oh yeah, that's not really a problem. I mean, I don't prefer to have multiple, but yeah, I can.
For me, I'll have one or two, but you can really, really go nuts on a stout.
Yeah, I do okay. I do okay with a couple stouts.
I remember one time you rolled up to a roof party with you stopped at the liquor store. You're like,
Oh,
you know what I'm
yeah.
gonna get? A 6-pack of milk stout. I
Yeah,
was like,
nitro milk stout.
It is 90 degrees outside. That is a strange choice.
But it's like drinking chocolate milk or something, right? Where it's cold and it's creamy, but it's like still refreshing in a way if you're in the mood for it. You know,
I can respect it.
that's kind of where I was coming from. You know,
Yeah.
next time I'll just buy some Nesquik and go up to the roof and we'll.
Oh, get out of here. That's disgusting. Adults who drink milk are disturbed. Adults who drink milk did not wean off their mother properly or something because it's a big problem.
Yeah, Marissa has opinions about adults who drink milk. But that's not what we're here to talk about today.
We could just change, throw the script out.
Yeah.
We're doing a milk podcast.
No, I'm gonna say we're sticking with this. We're gonna talk about one of our favorite, our shared favorite TV shows, which is Crazy Ex-Girlfriend on the CW.
If you haven't watched it, why?
Yeah,
You missed it. But there's only 4 seasons, so
and they're all on Netflix still for the
yeah,
time being.
So catch
Well,
up.
actually, is season 4 on there? I don't know.
I think it is. I think everything's on there now,
Okay.
including the series finale concert.
Oh, great.
Which is just the culmination of all the joy and nerdiness of the show.
Yes.
So I feel like we'll probably get into a little bit of spoiler activity.
I think that's a good warning. Yeah.
I would like to. I would say if you haven't watched it yet, we'll give a little pitch, but then maybe don't listen to the rest of this episode.
Yeah, that's a good
'cause
call.
I'm just going to speak freely.
Yeah.
And if you loved it, you're going to love this episode.
That's right. Yeah, so Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, we watched it from like midway through season 1. We got on the train, right? We started watching it in like on DVR and,
it was
caught up.
It was quite early. I remember seeing a friend of mine tweet a video, just a clip of the I Have Friends song of the little girl singing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what the crap is this show? This is hilarious and weird. And and someone was like, it's a musical theater comedy show. And I said,
like,
so something
what?
that was written specifically for Marissa Emanuel?
Right.
Okay, excellent. Sounds good. So yeah, we were on the train relatively early. We went to see the live show when it was in Boston. I would say we're moderate super fans of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
I would say so, yeah. Going to the live show, I think, makes us pretty devoted fans. What is it that you enjoy most about it? You're a musical theater nerd to begin with, right? So that was like that went straight for your heart right to begin with.
Yes. So the foundation was the show had an interesting evolution over the last couple of years, and it started out as this really lighthearted, quirky show that was very irreverent and poked fun at a lot of different stereotypes and gender stereotypes and societal and mental health stuff. And it was very funny and light. And then it sort of progressed throughout the seasons to become much more of a serious, not a serious show, but they tackled some really serious stuff.
Yeah, with humor, they attacked and tackled some pretty serious issues
in a really refreshing way, which I think we'll get into a little bit too. But just to start, I thought it was really funny and entertaining, and as time went on, I became very attached to these characters and their arcs and how they were just handled with such sensitivity and in a way that you don't see often.
Yeah, I that's what I mean. I love, obviously the first thing either of us noticed about it was how fun the musical aspect of it was, but the more we got into it, the more that we really appreciated the social commentary and the way that they handled some pretty serious things, and they're really great at breaking down stigmas. That's a big thing that they are very much, that it's near and dear to the hearts of Rachel Bloom and the rest of the crew that creates the show. I don't know how much more we can say without getting into spoiler territory.
Yep.
So let's sort of
it's
say,
nice to see you guys,
yeah.
but leave.
This is the spoiler bell. Anything after this point will be spoilery.
I like that.
Yeah, thanks.
So it's interesting that you bring up what you were just talking about with the different social constructs and things like that. And there's some things that I specifically remember you reacting to very strongly, which is interesting. One of them being the song Sports Analogies.
Oh, yes, Sports Analogies.
About how how men often default to relating to each other through sports analogies because we don't teach men how to communicate their emotions.
Right.
So instead, they resort to sports analogies.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. I forgot we had that
You about
conversation.
spit
but yeah.
out your drink when that
It was
came on.
great. I felt very heard, very seen with all of that, and I felt like, that's the thing that we do, and why do we do that? And watching the the video that goes with that song really opened my eyes in a way to like, oh right, that's why we do that, right? We use sports analogies to because men don't want to talk about our feelings, and because we don't want to. I don't know. Like I feel like it's a way of masking all kinds of thoughts and weaknesses that we're not supposed to acknowledge or not supposed to have. For what reason? Because like society says so. Like it's a dumb reason.
It seems like this is a cause that's near and dear to her heart because there's a lot of examples of that. The other one that always comes to mind is fit hot guys have problems too.
Yeah.
And this idea that just because we're good looking doesn't mean we don't have feelings. And she sort of pokes fun in this very meta way about how men are portrayed on screen, and then that's how that impacts how men grow up thinking about feelings because of how they've been represented. So I like that one too. That one I'm a big fan of.
That's another really good one. Yeah, for sure. And like I think the I really enjoyed that live. Actually, they did it at the live show that was part of the finale.
Yes.
And I'm glad that song made it to the made it to like the live show treatment that only sort of the
fan faves.
Yeah, the fan faves got that treatment, and so it was great to see that happen. What are some of your like all-time favorites though? Like, what are ones that are really, really near and dear to your heart? Particular songs they've done.
Ooh.
So I guess we should probably mention like Rachel Bloom is the creator of the show. She works with Aileen Brosh McKenna. They're the co-creators of the show. Rachel Bloom was already doing a YouTube channel, Rachel Does Stuff, which is hilarious and amazing. If you haven't seen, she had a few videos go viral a few years ago before she started doing the show. And so she's, when we say she, that's who we're talking about.
Yes, she is the brains and the beauty behind the
Yes.
operation.
Yes, she is.
But she works really closely, like you said, with Aileen Brosh McKenna. And in fact, Aileen Brosh McKenna is the one who actually brought the concept to Rachel Bloom, who then
That's right.
sort of brought it to life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some of those early videos, I believe her YouTube is Rachel Does Stuff,
Mhm.
and some very funny gems in there. Highly recommend Funny Ray Bradbury. And then the other one is Pictures of Your Dick on the Internet. Both really good. Frank's gonna have to bleep out half of this episode. I'm sorry, but I didn't write it. So those are really good. I would highly recommend checking those out. Those are just sort of independent, standalone, viral video type musical theater stuff. I would say, what are some of the best songs? It's so hard, right? I would say,
I want to say I Steal Pets is also really worth watching
Oh,
from the Rachel
yes.
Bloom early stuff. Yeah.
This is okay. I was trying to remember the name of it. Let's Generalize About Men is one of my
Okay.
favorite from the early season. So we're talking about men and their feelings and stuff. They also are not shy to take a dump on what
Mhm.
stupid things women do. And the Let's Generalize About Men is a very funny look at sort of this like girl power mentality. And we're like, oh, men are trash. And that one is very funny while also being a very catchy bop.
Mhm.
So I enjoyed that one. I really like they did, I think it was in season 2, a Marilyn Monroe sort of parody where they did the Math of Love triangles.
Mhm.
And then they brought it back in the finals in one of the last 2
Yes.
episodes. And it was a really beautiful look at sort of how the character had grown so much and how things were maybe she didn't take things as seriously in the early days, and then these themes became much more serious. And then that was actually one of my favorite lines from the show. If you watch this episode, you'll know what I'm talking about. They just end the reprise of this song with all 3 of the guys she's involved with saying, "Joke's on you, bitch, you'll never be free."
Yeah.
And I just like died laughing, and it still makes me laugh when I hear it comes up on my Spotify. I'm like, man, that's funny. It's dark.
It's dark, but it's funny.
It's so funny.
This show does go dark. Like it's funny. She's hilarious. Like the writing on the show is hilarious, and clever and really heartwarming and touching at times. But it does go dark for we're kind of rewatching. We're
in a dark place right now.
Yeah, we're in like season 3, early season 3,
Mhm.
and it got real dark there.
It gets really dark. I would say it got exceptionally dark for like a couple of episodes while they were sort of narratively trying to work through some of the mental health journey that she was going through.
Yeah,
so
right.
I think it's important to say from the beginning, there was always hints that she had some major depressive stuff. She has some concerning behavior. And then as time went on, it became more and more clear that this was something likely more significant.
Right.
And what I will say is, as somebody who also suffers with anxiety and depression, this character was eventually diagnosed with BPD, and the way they handled it, I felt, was very mature and responsible.
Mhm.
So they treated that character with respect, and they treated the issues with complexity and but with humor in a way that was sort of not laughing at, but laughing with, in a sort of dark, twisted way. But I will always respect how they handled that reveal and how they handled sort of her journey. Right now, what we're watching is sort of just before that happens, and so it's definitely gets dark. But
It's like when she's about to hit rock bottom before she has her diagnosis.
exactly.
And I like the way that's handled, and I feel like that it was like critically acclaimed by people who know more about BPD and know more about mental health issues, right? Like the way she talks about it, and even the way she jokes about it, is done in a healthy way, in a way that you can, poke fun. A person can poke fun at his or herself, but not making sweeping generalizations about everybody with a certain condition or anything like that. Like not in a mean kicking down kind of way.
And they did a really good job to almost humanize. That's such a hard BPD specifically is such a sort of scary diagnosis, and there isn't a lot people know about it. And so I thought it was especially important that they handled it with responsibility to communicate what that looks like and to show an example of a person living a healthy, full, happy life after being diagnosed with some really sort of scary stuff. So I always have a lot of respect for how they handled that while also managing to still be a really freaking funny show.
It's a really
they
funny
crank
show.
out 1 or 2 songs, sometimes more, every single episode. That's a lot of songs to write. Like, how?
It's a lot of songs, and they're all like big produced musical numbers.
Yes. And I remember thinking back when, okay, this is embarrassing, but back when I was a Glee fan back in the day, obviously if I like, this is the natural evolution, right? You grow up and then watch Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. But I remember watching Glee and always thinking, that's amazing how they're learning all this choreography and doing new costumes and every week. But they weren't even writing the songs.
Right.
Those were songs that were already written. So the fact that these guys for every single week had like 2 or 3 new songs that were written, musically produced, and then like full stage production quality. It's just something that you don't see on TV. And then also managing to keep that heart and keep characters that have complexity and depth, and to do all of those things at once is just miraculous.
It's amazing. It's amazing what they do. It's amazing that they were able to do that for 4 solid seasons on the CW, who's not known for big budget television.
No.
To be able to pull that off and do all of those numbers every week, writing new songs, choreographing and everything, like you said, on the CW especially, like is really, really impressive.
Yeah, you're a big CW fanboy too, right?
I
Like,
am. I mean, I watch a lot of CW shows. I mean, I have for 10 plus years. But it's no secret that they have a lower budget to work with, and it's impressive what this show and what a lot of the shows that I watch are able to do on that budget. A show like Supergirl that has a great effect budget. They're able to do a lot with relatively little compared to others. So
I also, one of the things I'll always appreciate about the show is how they were able to have exactly the length of time that they wanted to tell the story, which is so rare that you're sort of given that gift, right? Or you don't stretch it too long, right?
Yes.
So she has said she always wanted 4 seasons. And when you see the ending, it's clear why, right? She evolved to the natural end of the story. They left it up in the air just enough that, so if you made it this far, you've watched the show, I'll be specific, but at the last episode, the big question is she going to pick Josh or Greg or Nathaniel? And everybody sort of had their opinions, but none of that felt healthy, right? Like that felt like a crappy payoff. The payoff of this grand journey and this evolution of self shouldn't be like, and then which boy did she end up with?
Yeah.
And that was going into the last episode. I was like, they're going this way. They're going so hard on this. How are they going to end this in a way that's satisfying? Because no matter who she picks or ends up with, it's going to feel just trite and cheap. And the way that they sort of circumvented that, I thought was really good. They sort of left the door open with Greg a little bit. So I was probably more team Greg than anything if I had to think back on it. But the way they left it open a little bit, but it wasn't about that at all. It was really about sort of her and her evolution.
Yeah, that was kind of the only way to go that would be satisfying, right? Because if she had picked one of the guys, all of those relationships were toxic to some extent,
Totally.
and it would be hard to sort of justify any of them, really.
Who would you have picked if you had to pick one?
I kind of was Team Greg early on, so I probably would lean that way, but again, toxic.
I was Team Greg too, but I also really respected Nathaniel's growth. And he was super hot. So no disrespect to Skylar Astin, but that was weird. What did you think about the return of the Greg character in season 4?
Yeah, they recast him. I like Skylar Astin a lot, right? So
big
that
pitch perfect guys
big,
over here.
Big pitch perfect.
That's hard
family.
to say.
Yeah, it is. Big Pitch Perfect family over here.
Big pitch perfect guys. Well, I've had 2 sips of beer.
But the recasting definitely distracted me, no doubt. And that's nothing against Kyle Larson. It's just recasting a character that we watched for 2 seasons before he left.
He was so good.
Yeah, he was really good.
He was so great, and it was a hard pill to swallow, even liking him so much.
Right.
I guess I understand why they did bring him back and it made sense narratively. But I was also sort of like, maybe you just could have just left him.
Yeah, I kind of feel like you could have just left well enough alone.
Yeah.
But I guess she felt like she needed to have, like, if she had it plotted out what she wanted to happen, they probably already shelved Greg when she didn't want to.
Yeah.
Like, because, I can't remember the actor's name right now.
Fontina.
Thank you.
Fontina? Am I making that up? That might just be a cheese.
No, Santino Fontana. You're right.
Fontana.
One syllable.
I'm thinking about the cheese. It's fine.
It's fine. You're always thinking about cheese.
There was a really good cheese at Tim's wedding last night.
That's true.
I
There
ate
was.
like 7 blocks of it. So A+ for the cheese, Tim, whenever you're listening to this.
Good choice on cheese. Good cheese choice. Yeah, but when Santino left, that was he had another show or something, and that's why
I think he was on Broadway. He was going to do a show
Broadway,
on Broadway.
okay.
Yeah, because he's a theater guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was at the Tonys.
as they all are.
He was
But
at the Tonys this week.
yeah, he's in something right now.
Yeah, right. So, I feel like that was probably not part of her plan to begin with. So when she couldn't get him back, she was like, to tell the story I want to tell, I need the 3.
Which I respect.
I respect that. I do.
I have one more important question for you. What was your favorite theme song?
Oh, my favorite theme song is season 2.
Is it?
Season
I didn't
2.
know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I guess I did.
The first one is fun, and especially that scene where Paula and her husband do the whole season 1 theme song in dialogue. That's so great.
I'm trying to remember how it goes. Hold on. How does it start?
She
She was working hard at a New York job, making dough, but it made her blue. One day she was crying a lot. I was like, all right. Yeah. I thought it was kind of funny. It was funny. It dragged on a little bit.
Because they didn't actually play the theme song at the beginning of that episode. So then after he goes after they go through the whole song, they actually did the tag. The bump.
Yeah, it's true. It was so classic. That one was such a good narrative.
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
it. It's sort of like I always think of The Nanny being the top version of this.
Yes.
It's
they summarizing
the whole
premise
narrative in such
right?
a fun little kitschy way.
Right.
Okay, and then season 2.
Season 2 is my favorite. Season 2 is my favorite one.
Give us a little ditty real quick.
I'm just a girl in love.
Yes.
Can't be held responsible for my actions.
I actually vividly remember the first time we watched one of those episodes, and you screamed when they did the reveal at the end where her head pops through and goes,
calling
blam!
me in love. Blam! Yeah, I literally
Frank just fell off of the chair.
I lost it. I absolutely lost it. That's one where I pretty much spit out my beer. Like, that was so funny. And pretty much the rest of that season, every time it happened, I was like, it's about to happen. It's coming. Oh, there it is. It's so funny.
Yeah, you got very excited every time.
And then when Trevor did his version of it, oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
That was great. And then season 3 wasn't really my cup of tea for the intro.
Crazies when I go off the rails.
Yeah, that was fine. But season 4 was good. Meet Rebecca.
Yeah, that has become a staple in our household.
Yes. Meet Marissa. Yeah, it's fun. All the theme songs are good, but 2 is my favorite. 2 and 4.
Can we talk about Trent for a second?
Yes. Did I say Trevor? I meant Trent. Yeah.
Trevor.
Whatever his name is.
So I found that very interesting. I liked how they brought him back later. I think it was the 4th season.
Yes.
Or when they were doing the actual mimicking of he was exhibiting her behaviors, and that was, I thought, a really interesting commentary on how men and women are portrayed in television too, because he's doing it and he's like a psychopath, but she's doing it and they're like,
quirky and
she's
cute.
Troubled.
Yeah.
She has problems, and he doesn't, and we're like, wow, that guy's a psychopath.
Right.
So I thought that was, I feel like everything is so intentional with the way she writes and the way that writer's room thinks about things. Is every plot point has a very specific reason and is loaded either for the sake of humor or for the sake of making a point.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and both are done really well. Either way, whether it's done for just humor or for the sake of making a point. Yeah, and
even when it's sometimes I was about to say they don't beat you over the head with it, but they do. But it's like they know they're doing it, and they're doing it kind of in a wink, nudge way.
That's
when
right.
the let's generalize about men, those types of things.
Oh.
It's very obvious what the point is there, but
Yes.
it's done in a very funny way.
It's so good. That one in particular is very, very good. A few other songs that we like and that I like. I'm gonna throw a couple out here, but
Yes.
you should throw some as well. But "Sexy Getting Ready" song is
Oh,
great,
yes.
right? That's a fun one.
And I remember her saying, I read an interview with her or watched it where she was saying she was actually kind of surprised that one didn't go independently viral. And I think some of these songs, the way they were created, were sort of with YouTube in mind, because knowing she comes from a YouTube background,
Mhm.
she does think in that way. And that one was actually a very good sort of capsule song. And I think I got one of my friends into the show because I sent her a link to that YouTube video, and she was like getting ready for a date, and I sent her the link to "Sexy Getting Ready" song. And she was like, "Oh my God, I'm like dying. That's so funny." And so then she actually started watching it. So, that's a really good entree into the show if you're trying to get somebody into it.
There you go.
That was a good starting point.
Nice. Yeah, I love that. I mean, early, a lot of the stuff in the early couple seasons. The one the drip of justice, the one that's like
the Les Mis
the Les Mis
reference.
parody. Yeah. I also love "I Have Friends," right? That's one that I loved from the very beginning.
Yeah, that one got us in. That was our
I would say that's the first one that we were really like,
that was our
okay, this
gateway
is
drug.
yeah, it kind of was. Yeah. I like some of those from the first couple of seasons. The last couple of seasons have some that's where it starts to get more of like the social commentary and really throughout. You mentioned the ones that are sort of standalone and that make good videos. Almost all of them do. I mean, some of them are more entwined into the narrative of a particular episode more than others. But generally, you can watch almost any of them, and most of them are up there on her YouTube channel, Rachel Does Stuff, and you can watch just about any of them, and they kind of make sense in a.
It's
in a
true. I
capsule.
never really thought about
most
it
of
that
them
way.
do, not all of them, but because even when it's something like "Sexy Getting Ready" song is. Yes, it's tied to the narrative. It makes it's part of the story of that episode, but it's something that like people can relate to. F ton of cats is another one people can. It's funny, and whether you're a cat owner or not, like it's kind of funny, and it deals with some funny stereotypes and that kind of thing.
I would say "Heavy Boobs" is another iconic anthem. That one really has staying power for me in my life. But I also like there's a lot of nods to different genres or almost some really specific cinematic moments, like "Settle for Me" with the original Greg in season 1 was just such an iconic like Fred and Ginger wink nudge, and it was so beautifully done. And I think that was a really good example of not just singing the songs, but also visually, cinematographically, just costumes, dancing, being a clear nod to something else.
Yeah, and like in a really nicely done way. I'll do a lot of cinema references, a lot of Broadway like show tune references. Sometimes visually, sometimes just in the song, sometimes both. But I love the way that they always do that.
"You Ruined Everything, You Stupid Bee" was also such an iconic like Broadway ballad, and once in a while they actually pull something out like that that's just truly pure and like beautiful.
It's
that was
like,
really good. Anything Donna Lynn Chaplin she's just such an icon, and I'm so glad she had this role as a vehicle to get to see how funny she is, as well as being just the most vocally like this powerhouse. She is definitely the character I just really did not sit well with me 80% of the time, but I loved her performance. Did you have any characters, like some of the smaller characters that are just, it's such an interesting ensemble? Who do you love?
I mean, I love Heather, right? I love Heather a lot. And I love her growth from this like kind of irresponsible like perpetual student into like somebody who goes into like being a manager at I mean, she becomes a waitress and then a manager, and by the end she's a mom, she's with Hector, and like they have this great life together. That's like a very like normal person life, and she really grew up a lot in the course of the show, and I really like that.
Yeah, I thought they did right by her character.
Yeah.
And the same with Valencia too. We were talking about this today, how Valencia started almost as this two-dimensional prop that was basically just the generic hot mean girl. And they very quickly started to round her out into being a fully fleshed out human who ended up having, I mean, talk about a twist, like she ends up with a woman in the long term, and that was a really cool reveal. And I thought the fact she became so successful in her own right, and sort of rose above the way we had originally cast her, which I don't know. I felt like they treated all these characters with such care. You could really tell that they had put in the time and effort to make sure that they gave everyone the ending that they deserved.
Yeah, and I really like the way that the girls' friend group came together, right? With Paula and Valencia and Heather and Rebecca. I really like the way that group came together, and by the end of the show, what a great dynamic they all had, and how they were so tight and there for each other.
So one of the things that makes this show so special is that they're tackling such a wide variety of issues while being funny, while doing amazing musical numbers. I don't know how they multitask this much, but I love how they dove into the awkward trickiness of female friendships, and how we often see female friendships as very two-dimensional on screen. And I felt like it was a very intentional move to show the complexities and the dramas sometimes of how these things aren't super linear. They're not always just, and then you meet, and then you're best friends forever, and then you have a big fight over a boy, and then you stop being friends. Like each of those relationships has a ton of complexities within it, with Rebecca, but as also with, Paula coming into this group, and how does Valencia relate with these people? And there's so many good episodes that focus, while the larger narrative of the show did tend to be about men, there was a lot of specific episodes that wasn't the point at all. I'll always love the episode where Rebecca and Valencia went to what was essentially Burning Man together.
Oh, right.
And just like got super high on peyote or whatever it was in a tent, and just bonded and peed on Josh's stuff. Like, I thought those sort of moments of showing how relationships can be really complex and friendships can be really complex, but they're stories that are worth telling beyond just sort of the generic narratives that we normally get.
And they do it in a funny way, right?
It's super funny.
There's always a punchline. It's always a little bit it's always irreverent, and there's always some humor to it, no matter what. And it was one of the funniest shows when it was on, but also like really real and really heartwarming and touching, and it just was like the total package.
It just hit me on all these different points. I felt like I was watching something that was helping expand my mindset. It was funny as heck. The musicals were the musical numbers were amazing. It was intelligent. It had something to say. And it was really special. So you and I have talked about this a little bit, but my dream now is for Rachel Bloom to be able to write a Broadway musical for herself as a vehicle for her to star in, because that would be amazing.
I bet it happens one day.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I hope so.
I'll pay to produce it. Nice. I'll be the first Kickstarter contributor.
All right, there you go. Yeah, the GoFundMe starts here.
Yes.
All right, cool. Well, why don't you tell people about your shows and where they can follow you online?
Yeah. So we are also on the Thought Bubble Network. I host and produce a podcast called Loud Women. We are a podcast that focuses on Shrill, the Hulu series starring Adie Bryant, written by Lindy West. If you have watched that show, you will probably love our podcast. We talk all about the themes involving body image and all sorts of, and just being a woman and all sorts of fun stuff. I host that with my friend Tookie Kavanaugh, who is a very funny comedian from Boston. I am also sharing all of my loud opinions on Twitter at Hi, This is Marissa, on Twitter and on Instagram. So give me a little follow if you want to.
Yeah, do that thing. You can find this show also at the Thought Bubble Audio Network at thoughtbubbleaudio.com, but you can find us at beerwithgeeks.com, at beerwithgeeks on Twitter, beerwithgeeks@gmail.com if you want to send us some feedback. You can find me at Frank Ramblings, Tim at TimothyPG13. If you want to congratulate him on the nuptials, or any other feedback you want to send us. Thank you all for listening so much. We love you guys very much. Please make sure to support us on Patreon, patreon.com/thoughtbubbleaudio if you want to kick us a couple bucks and keep the lights on. We appreciate your support in all its forms, iTunes reviews, whatever it is. We love it all. But thank you so much for listening. Thanks, Marissa, for joining and for talking Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Thanks for having me. I'll be back next time Tim is busy.
Okay, sounds good. That sounds like a deal. But until next time, cheers.